In this video, we'll master the use of conditional calculated logic in JetFormBuilder using 3 different examples. Now let's take a look. The first example we'll be looking at is an event pricing calculator. We want to create a function that calculates the total price for an event based on these rules. First, the base price should be £100 per participant. Then, if there are fewer than 50 participants, then there should be a surcharge of £1,000. But if the participants are above 50, so 50 and above, then you only charge them at the base price. So basically, the form will just have an input for the number of participants. If that number of participants is 50 and above, then just say the number of participants multiplied by the £100 per participant. But if it is like 49 and below, then it will be the number of participants multiplied by the £100 per participant plus the surcharge of £1,000. So let's take a look at how we can do that. So here we are on the back end. We have JetFormBuilder installed. It's a free plugin. So I'll go ahead and I'll create a new form. Then let me just start from scratch. So I'll start from scratch and I'll go ahead and delete everything here. We don't need any of these. Let me give it a title. The title will simply be Event Pricing Calculator. And basically all we need is the input field for the number and then our calculated field for the output. So let me go ahead and start adding them. So insert, we need a number field. This is where the user will add the number of participants. So let me give it the name of participants. Okay. Then let me go ahead and add the calculated field. So let me delete this paragraph. And this will basically be the final price or total price. Okay. So we have our total price and let me make sure it gets updated. Okay. So the field name is total_price and the label is total price. The number of participants is a number field and it just has participants. So let's go ahead and see how we can now do this calculation. So let's now come to our calculated field. So basically, the way we use calculations in JetFormBuilder is using the ternary notation. So we put the condition at the start, then we put a question mark, then we put what do we want as the output when it is true. We put a colon, and then what do we want as the output when it is false. That's how the formula is. So now let's start with the condition. So the condition is that we want the number of participants. So that's number of participants. You click on the wrench icon and choose participants. If that number of participants is greater than the input, which was, in this case, you want it to be greater than 50 participants. So see if it is greater than or equal to, so greater than or equal to 50, then we put a question mark and say, what do we want it to output? We want it to basically output the number of participants multiplied by the 100. So that is, come back again to the wrench icon, choose the participants, multiplied by 100. Then we put the column to say else. Do the same thing here. So that is, let me open the bracket and say number of participants multiplied by 100, but then plus our surcharge of 1,000. And that's it. Finally, I may want to put the decimal numbers to be 2 points, and then the prefix should be the pound symbol, so pound, and non-breaking space. Then I can now go ahead and publish it, and we have our first form done. Let's go ahead and see if it's working. So let me just go ahead and preview it. So we have, when it is 0, we have 1,000 surcharge. When it is 10, we have 10 times 100 is 1,000, plus the 1,000 surcharge is 2,000. But the moment we get to, let's say, 50, now it's just going to be 50 multiplied by 100, which is 5,000. And that's it. There is no surcharge of 1,000. So if you say 49, we get the 4,900 plus the 1,000 surcharge. But the moment we just slug 50, then it goes back to 5,000. So that's the first example done. So I can go ahead and put this form in to our page. Let me edit it with bricks. And I'll come to my form and I'll choose the form, which is the event pricing calculator. So that is working. Save it and go ahead and preview it. So here's our form. So number of participants, if we have, say, 50, 5,000, 51, 5,100, but if it's 48, then we get the 5,800, that is 4,800 plus the 1,000 surcharge. So that's it. Then the next one is a school grading system. And basically what we want to say is, if the result is between 80 and 100, then give the user an A. If it is 70 to 79, a B, 60 to 69, a C, and so on. So how do we do this with our form? So now let's go back. Let me go ahead and create a new form. And I'll call this grading system. I'll create it from scratch. Go ahead and delete everything here. Okay. So the thing I want to add is a number field again. This will be for the result. So result. Then we need to add another field which will be used for the calculation. So calculated field. And this will be for the grade. Okay. So we have our result and our grade. So now what we want to do is we're trying to get that if the result is between 80 and 100, then give an A. So first of all, we have to now limit this grading system so that the maximum is 100 and the minimum is 0. So I'll come back to the form, to the number inputs. So I'll say the mean value should be 0, the maximum value should be 100, and the step should be 1, because we don't want any point anything, just want it in integer values. Okay. Then I can go ahead and publish this. Let's continue. So the next thing now is the grade. So all we have to now do is say, if this grade, so I'll come to this system and then choose that grade. So if that grade is, how is the numbering? So if it's greater than 80, then choose A. So say if it is greater than or equal to 80, then the question mark to say what is the condition when it is true. The condition when it is true is going to be a string. So I have to put the quotation mark and say A, quotation mark. And as such, because the output is going to be a string, so you have to consider it. Is the output going to be a number or a string? A is not a number, it is a string. So we have to come to our value type and change it from as number to as string. And that's what we need to do. So say, if this is greater than or equal to 80, then output A, else, that means it is not greater than or equal to 80. If the number again will now come back and do this same condition, or we can just do it again. So click on the wrench icon, put this result. If it is greater than or equal to, the next one is 70. So if it is greater than or equal to 70, then it's going to be question mark. And this time we're going to do the quotation mark and say B. The column, do the same condition again. Else, if it is greater than or equal to, next one is 60, then 50, 40, so 60. Then I'll put the question mark and put C. And that's how we keep going. So put the colon again and so on. The final value is just U. So if it doesn't satisfy any of these conditions, then put U. So let's save it. And we'll go ahead and see if it works. So let me go ahead and preview it. And we get our grading system. So if I say the result is 100, it's an A. If it is 90, it's still an A. 89, 88, until we get to 80. It's an A. So less than that, it's a B. If you go down, 69 is a C, and so on. 59D, 49E. And when we go below 40, we get a U. So that is, every other thing is going to be a U. And yeah, that's it. That's how easy it is to create a grading system using JetFormBuilder. The last example we'll be looking at is a string manipulation. So let's say we have two inputs for your first name and last name. If the user inputs both the first name and the last name, then display the first name space the last name. If the user only inputs the first name, then write no last name. If the user inputs only the last name, then write no first name. If the user forgets to input anything at all, then you write no username found. So let's see how we can do this. So here we are in the JetFormBuilder. Let me go ahead and create a new form, and I'll call it display name. Okay, let me start from scratch. I'll go ahead and delete all of these fields. Usually you would want to have your action button because your form needs some way to send it, but let me just delete all of them. So the fields we need are the text field for the first name. This will be called first name. Let me duplicate it. Then we need another field for the last name. Okay, so those are the two fields, first name and last name. Then we need another field, which will just basically be for our calculated field. So calculated field, and that will be for the display name. Okay, so we have these three fields. Now, what we want to do is, if the user inputs both names, then display something. If the user inputs only the first name, display something else. Only the last name, display something else. No name, display another thing. So let's see how we do that. Because the output is going to be a name or a string, we need to set for our calculated field that the value type is a string. Now we start doing the conditions. I'll leave a link to a short documentation where you can find out all the kind of conditions you can use. So some of the conditions are like the AND, which is the ampersand twice, or the OR, which is the pipe symbol twice, or other kind of things you can use. I'll try to condense them and then show you some of them that you can use and how you can use it. For strings, whenever it's a string, you need to wrap your whatever in quotation marks. So it can be your form field, it can be your meta field from your custom post, it can be your actual string, but it must be wrapped in quotation marks. So I'll start with the quotation mark, then I'll choose the first name, then close the quotation mark, the ampersand twice to say if the first name and the last name exist, So by doing this, without actually comparing it to anything, all I'm saying is, if the first name and the last name exist, other kind of things you can use is maybe double pipe symbol and say, if the first name is equal to David. So this is specific to say, if the first name is equal to David and the last name exists, then do something. So let's do it like this. Oh no, let's just do something like this. So if the first name is equal to David and the last name, then I'll put a question mark to say, what is the condition when it is true? Display the first name, quotation mark, plus quotation mark again to start it. Display the last name and close the quotation mark. Then you give a space. So it will be the first name space last name. Otherwise, put the colon. So what happens when this is false? Then want to do another condition. So you can either output a value directly or you can output another condition. So the condition now will be, so we've checked for if both of them exist. If both of them don't exist, then do the second condition, which is check for only the first name. So if only the first name exists, so quotation mark, remember that. The first name exists, close the quotation mark. Then I'll put the question mark, say a string again, quotation mark, no last name. Then put the colon to say what happens when this is false. We want to do another condition. So the string, put this, if the last name only exists, then question mark, say no first name. Okay. And then finally, if none of these conditions is met, say no user name found. Oh yeah, I forgot something. This is a string, so I didn't put it. That's the one thing. Once any of the quotation mark is missing, then it breaks. So you have to make sure you look at the quotation marks properly. Let me save this and see now. Okay, now it's working. So you see, no username found because nothing is imputed. If I put only the first name, it will tell me no last name. So let's say I put anything, it will tell me no last name. But if I put David as the first name, or let me remove the first name and put only the last name, so Benedo, they say no first name. But if I put both of them, then the moment I put David complete, then it will tell me David Benedo. Any other thing, it will break this and only say no last name. So this is how the condition works. But let me go back and now remove this first part of the condition and say only if they exist. That's all I want to check. Save it. So now, if I put Jonathan and then I put Banks, see, I get that. But if I put only Jonathan, it tells me no last name. If I put only Banks without Jonathan, it tells me no first name. If I remove everything, it tells me no username found. So yeah, that's basically how we can do different kind of manipulations of conditional logic using JetFormBuilder. It is so powerful. It works with both strings and with numbers. I'll try to break it down into a list of all of the different conditions you can use. For example, with numbers, you can use greater than, you can use less than, you can use greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, you can use equal to, and those are the conditions. So you are comparing a number to another number. For strings, what you're now comparing is, does the string exist? That's the first kind of condition. Or does the string equal to, like equality with the double equal to sign? When you are working with strings, it's usually the double sign. So double equal to or double ampersand for comparing two things, or double pipe symbol for or, and those are the things. So if you have any other questions or you want to know about conditional logic, please let me know in the comments, and then I'll try to break it down even further. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.